I watched my father work himself to death when I was 15 years old, and it taught me something about success that nobody wants to hear. My father, he wasn't some corporate slave chasing status. He wasn't grinding for a Lambo or trying to flex on Instagram. He was just a good man. He was just trying to provide for his family, and he did, and it killed him anyway. He was the kind of man that made everyone around him feel lighter. He had no enemies. That is literally the best description of my father people who knew him gave him. Not because he avoided conflict, but because he gently uplifted people just by being present in the moment. He never worried. It was just constant joy in the present moment. And you could just feel it, just being around. He was a pure masculine rock, the sole provider. He would spend 7 days a week working. And when the weekend finally arrived, we would wait until he got home from work, and then he would take us to relatives' houses for family gatherings. And it was part of my best memories growing up. We would stay at relatives' houses up until 2 or 3 a.m. sometimes on a Saturday night. And then we would finally make our way back home during that time, in which my mom, my sister, and myself, we would just knock out in bed and wake up at whatever time we please, right? But not my father. Even after drinking all night, having a blast with friends playing pool, busting each other's balls, he would still get up after 1 or 2 hours of sleep and go grind again. Day in, day out. So he would be up at 4 a.m. every single day to go to work and just grind relentless hours in the epoxy flooring industry. Now, this industry is no joke. Search up the dangers of it on Google right now. It's harsh. The chemicals are carcinogenic. It causes cancer, okay? It's chemicals you're working with. And not only that, but the physical aspect of this specific blue-collar work is backbreaking, literally. He would do brutal work the entire day and come home every single night to the same thing. 12 Corona beers, sitting inside the mini fridge, waiting to be popped open. That was his only way to turn it off. The drive that would not stop. He bought me every single video game I wanted growing up, starting at age 6. He made sure I was happy. He wanted me to study, to go to college, to have options he didn't have. He never talked bad about anyone. He was always happy. He was always making people feel good. That was him. Now, when I was 15, my whole family watched him drop right in front of us from cardiac arrest on a Sunday on a family gathering at our house. Just fell down, just right in front of us. I remember that day vividly. He's a guy who literally worked himself to death, but never complained, never bitter, always uplifting other people. And here's what's fucked up. He did everything right according to the world. He provided for his family. He worked hard. He never quit. He stayed positive. And it still killed him. So when people tell me just hustle harder, bro, or sacrifice now, enjoy later, all of that bullshit, I think about my dad with his 12 Coronas every single night, trying to turn off a drive that would not stop. He was constantly trying to find a circuit breaker that wasn't destroying him. He even admitted to my mom before he died that he was getting tired. And at this point, he already had over 15 years in the industry. He was that guy. But ultimately, he could never find the stop and rest button. It was impossible for him. It was impossible. Here's the thing, though. He gave me that same relentless all or nothing drive. The ability to just decide something and execute without negotiating with myself. 2 years after he died, I made a decision. I dropped out of high school my junior year. I literally went up to my mom and told her I wanted to help with the bills. Things were tight at home, and I literally could not take waking up at 7 a.m. every single morning, wasting my whole day at school doing nothing when I could have been making money providing for my family. So I became him. I became the provider. I became the grinder of the family. Started off doing the exact same work he did in the epoxy flooring industry, okay? And after a couple months, I got promoted to a project manager role, in which I did for about a year before I left to start my own business. And then by 20 years old, I built a business to 10K a month. I'm 21 now. My business partners were double my age at the time, and they were calling me CEO. I was having hour-long conversations with millionaires with 40 years of experience under their belt, and I was the one providing insight. I felt true power and control for the first time in my life. If that's a good or a bad thing, I don't know. But at that point, I could trust myself. I've been right all along. But here's what nobody tells you about that lifestyle. You think it's all glamour. When I built my business at 10K a month at 19, 20 years old, that was my father. That was his DNA in me. That refusal to quit. That I'll figure it out mentality. That was him. I worked 15 hours a day, every single day for 2 years straight. No social media, no distractions, no alcohol, No substances, just pure raw discipline with a daily gym routine. Monk mode, full on. I cut out everything I loved growing up. I cut out gaming. The one thing my father constantly bought me to be happy, I cut out. He wanted me to have a good and easy life. I sacrificed it all to be successful. And although I'm forever grateful for the rite of passage that it brought me and the wisdom that it brought me and the strength that it brought me, I thought sacrificing everything was what it meant to honor him, to prove I could grind just as hard, to show to everybody I inherited his drive. But I was wrong. I plateaued at $2K a month in my business for 8 months. I was just stuck. I was working my ass off every single day, but I was getting nowhere. I was in autopilot mode, pattern mode. I was mindlessly executing, thinking that's what propelled me forward. And then something shifted. I started actually resting. I started actually taking breaks, hitting the actual reset button on my days, instead of just going in, day out, day in, day out. And suddenly, I started actually thinking diametrically instead of just executing. And then I saw it. The gold mine I've been sitting on the entire time for these 8 months. Ideas I couldn't see before because I was too busy grinding to actually think. And then I applied it. I thought about it and I applied it. I went from $2,000 to $10,000 in one single month. But then the pressure got worse. I couldn't handle it. I sacrificed sleep to get a campaign launched. I sacrificed my entire weekend to get a website done that I promised to a client. I never had weekends. I didn't have a single day off. Sleep was a waste of time for me. All I wanted to do was work. The voice in my head wouldn't stop telling me to do more. Just do more, improve more, optimize more. My mind would not stop running with how to make more money or how to conquer the industry. That's all it was. And it got to a point where I burned out completely. I could barely sleep. I couldn't handle the fucking voice inside my head telling me to just do more and never stop. I just couldn't handle it. And here's what I realized after watching influencers like Alex Hormozy sit down with Tony Robbins and admit he's been living life like a spreadsheet. Joy needs to justify its worth in this guy's life. Love requires a return on investment in this guy's life. Relaxing demands productivity metrics in our lives. The advice I followed religiously 2 years ago. The magic you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding. That shit is dangerous for people like me. For most people, that advice means stop procrastinating. Do the thing. But for people with relentless drive, people who inherited that from watching their father work until his heart gave out, that advice becomes justification for never stopping, for never resting, for optimizing everything until you can't enjoy the things you love. So I quit the business. I went back to my roots. I went back to what I actually loved when I was 6 years old, before anyone told me what I should do. I'm 21 now, and I realized something that would have saved my father's life if he knew it. Rest is not weakness, man. It's strategy. It's literal strategy for high performers like me. My father didn't have a way to truly rest. All he had was 12 beers a night to numb him out on the couch. That was his rest. To turn off the drive that wouldn't stop. And it literally killed him. It killed him at 39. Got down at 39 years old. He didn't even make it past 40. I'm choosing differently, man. I'm reclaiming my roots. The thing he actually wanted for me. I'm choosing to actually live instead of just survive and provide until I just drop dead. Right now, I'm creating content, building something I actually love. And yeah, I still have that same relentless drive. I can work 4 hours on a video and immediately check view counts. I try to nap and I literally cannot nap because my brain is analyzing how to improve in light speed time. I'll game for 2 hours. I'll be playing Rocket League for 2 hours and I'll still be checking the metrics of my videos or metrics, KPIs in between matches. The drive doesn't go away. It's in my DNA. But I'm learning what my father never learned. That the drive needs a circuit breaker, man. That rest isn't the opposite of productivity. It's what makes breakthrough productivity possible. Carl Jung took decades to understand this, and we still don't believe it. When I don't truly rest, I go into autopilot mode, pattern mode. Same thing every single day. No breakthroughs, just grinding on fumes until it gives out. And then when I actually stop and rest, that's when I see the gold mine. That's when the ideas come. That's when I make the jump. My father wanted me to study, man. He wanted me to go to college, have options he didn't have. He worked himself to death in harsh chemicals so I could have a better life. The best way I can honor him isn't by just repeating his pattern. It's by taking his drive, that pure masculine energy that uplifted everyone around him, and using it smarter. Resting when I need to. Living while I'm building. Being present instead of always calculating the next move. I want to be half the man he was, but I want to live past 40 years old to do it. If you're watching this and you recognize that drive in yourself, that voice that will not shut off, that constantly is telling you to do more, improve more, optimize more, listen to me right now. Rest is not giving up. It's how you're going to sustain in this life. The magic is not always in the work you're avoiding. Sometimes the magic is in the rest and presence in the daily life and the joy in daily life you're denying yourself. My father worked himself to death because he didn't know that. I'm choosing differently.